In 1879, William Jackson Palmer had invented the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railway. It was supposed to go toward Mexico City, but the workman got lost and was built in southern Colorado and northern New Mexico and getting nowhere near the Mexican border. General Palmer had made the railway to be narrow gauge with about 3 feet and 4 inches, instead of the usual standard gauge with 4 feet and 8 to 10 inches. On the main line from Alamosa to Antonito, Colorado, the line was dual gauge with both narrow and standard gauge. The locomotives were what you would probably recognize, wood burners. Then by 1923 to 28 the classes K28, K36, and K37 was invented. These locomotives have the drive wheels on the inside of the frame, but on the outside are side rods and counterweights. This can allow the locomotives to be a bit bigger and still be able to be narrow gauge. The San Juan Express had been running on a 190-mile daily run between Alamosa and Durango between 1933 and 1951. They would stop at Antonito, sometimes Ozia, Chama, Pagosa Junction, and then finally Durango, but the whole railway had led from Alamosa down to Antonito, a branch to Santa Fe which was torn up in 1941, crisscrossed the New Mexico and Colorado border 9 times, then up to 10,015-foot Cumbres Pass, heading down 4% grade into Chama, back to Colorado and would stop at Gato, a switch down south to Farmington, New Mexico, sneaking way into Durango, and then finally from Durango is a branch about 45 or 50 miles north to Silverton. What was failing about the San Juan was the mail contracts and freight deliveries. The problem was that the mail trains were usually running between 25 and 75 minutes late due to the bad snow weathers that have been going on. It didn't make too much money, so they stopped doing the express. The sad thing is that in the mid-60s the last passenger trains were run and would only start doing freight. K36 engine number 483 pulled the last train from Alamosa to Durango on the 29th of May and 30th, 1965.
The Rocky Mountain Railroad Club members stand around the K36 class loco, watching the servicing and switching as any rail fan would. The crisp morning air in Alamosa swells with a smell of steam. Is there anything else that could enliven the heart of a true rail fan? Locos number 480 to 489 were Class K36 engines. They were built by Baldwin in 1925. The locos developed 36,200 pounds of tractive effort. Leaving Alamosa, black clouds of smoke greet the photographer as the train pulls out of the yard. At the south end of town, an old stone station was built to serve the railroad. Here, water and coal were also available for the locos. The line then branched off to the west. Chama was a division point for the railroad. It served as a helper stop for trains heading toward Cumbres as well as a lumber town. Extensive train servicing could be completed here when necessary.
Here we see the next day of Chama. K37 engine number 498 is helping 483 to Cumbres due to the train being about 12-15 cars and the hill being 4% grade. In 1970, the 105 miles of track between Durango and Chama was taken away. People were in panic and wanted to find ways to save parts of the railroad. They bought 45 miles of track between Silverton and Durango and is now called the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railway. They also had got 65 miles of track between Antonito and Chama and is now called the Cumbres and Toltec. They are both living museums and show what the mountain railroading was like.